Canada on men's 2. He's the first climber visible. Coming out onto men's number 1, Jacinto Velasco Lozano. And for the women, Valentina Aguada, who performed very strongly at the World Youth Championships this past September in Innsbruck, and has already locked a spot to the Youth Olympic Games in her home country of Argentina. Valentina looking exceptionally confident on her first attempt. Trying to find a good position to hold on to the top. She can reach it. Just trying to see if she can stick it. And unfortunately falls on her first attempt. Kat Karkner, our first lady out, and she's now on to women's number 2, which is another heinous crimp fest, but she is cruising it, looking very strong, reaching for the finish, and a confident match. That looks like a flash from Kat Karkner, if I didn't miss anything. Some other proud partners I want to thank. The Action Sport Physio, who are providing the medical services and equipment for this comp. And Le 5600 for their help with the rooms and infrastructure here at the gym. Also our collaborators, INS Quebec, TV Go, ESIM, Eco Quartier Mercier Hochelaga Maisonneuve, les Conseils Québécois d'événements éco-responsables, Make a Champ, Stay 22, Welcome Athletes, Residence 1515, and L'Accordé. TV Go, of course, are the guys behind this live stream, providing you all this video. Make a Champ, who we've been using to help fundraise for this live stream, which is still open. If you appreciate this stream and you're getting to watch and see the climbers you know and love, consider donating $5 to our Make a Champ. You can get a link to that at climbingpanam2017.com. And you'll find the link for the crowdfunding campaign to help support this event. And of course, L'Accordé online climbing store, they have a sale of 10 to 20% off in store all week. So make sure you check out L'Accordé online and see what they got on sale. Lots of good stuff. And Zachary Matthew on M2, struggling around with the start of men's 2. And Valentina on women's number 1 manages to get the top, I believe, on her third attempt. It might have been second. And men's number 1 still causing lots of trouble. I'm sure none of the boys expected this kind of crimp fest on the very first problem. 5-degree overhanging wall, crimping on footholds the whole way up. Each crimp is really just made for 1 or 2 fingers. It's a very intense problem to start off the round. And Jacinto from Mexico is about to hit the top on men's 1, but reaching for the finish. Foot blows, and it's all over. But excellent progress. Bodes well for the next problems. Now visible on your screen on M2, Zachary Richardson. And our next climber's out on women's number 1 from the United States, Isabella Novak. And for the boys on men's number 1, Nikolai Rivadeneira from Ecuador. And our apologies for not being able to show all of the problems. There were some logistical changes to help make the problems better. They spread them out over more walls to give more space, allowing the kind of problems you're getting to see today. Unfortunately for the qualifying round, because there are 5 problems for each gender at the same time, that means you won't be able to see some of them in action, but the ones you do are genuinely excellent problems. And as we get into the next rounds in semifinals tomorrow and finals on Wednesday, you will be able to see everything, and that will be some very exciting climbing. Alejandra Contreras manages to match the top on women's number 2, I believe, on her flash attempt. So even though the men's number 1 and women's number 2 are set on the same wall with very, very similar holds, similar angle, the women's version so far seems to be a relative walk in the park compared to what the boys are dealing with. That said, Nikolai on men's number 1 from Ecuador manages to get the top. And that's our first top we've seen on men's 1.
Oh, come on, Zach. Medic to the medic room, please. Go, Isabella. Come on, Isa.
Isa Nowak on women's number 1, confidently getting up to bonus. The next move is straight up to the finish sloper, up on the vertical head wall, but it's a very difficult sloper. For anybody who knows, it's the huge round atomic font sloper. It's turned up in the way where the most obvious crimps are turned downwards, so you are really having to try and find little spots to put your fingers to get control of that thing, and also using your lower body to try and keep balance. Certainly a toughie, but she's securing bonus with ease. So with a minute left, we'll see if she can make it work in her final attempt. Zach Richardson down to 20 seconds. He's gotten this far before, and it's all about trying to stick this move up to the finish. Let's see if he can make it happen under the pressure. One hand, but one hand is not enough, and with only 8 seconds left, he's got to walk it off with just a bonus. Our next climbers who have just come out for the women, Arabelle Jariel from the United States is now on women's number 1. And for the boys on men's number 1, Galo Hernandez from Ecuador.
All right, Zach.
Just a reminder, if you're watching and you want to share this with your friends, share it with your family, share it with whoever you think might be interested, spam it around on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Use the hashtag Accès Escalade Montreal and Climbingpanam17. All the social media traffic we can drum up for this helps show our sponsors how much this event means to our audience and helps us get support in the future for further events. That's the only way we're going to be able to grow this, is if we got lots of people watching and taking part. So take some time out of your day, fire off a tweet, post something on Facebook, share the live stream link at climbingpanam2017.com, throw in the hashtag, and thanks for doing your little part. And of course, if you got spare change, you can always still donate a couple bucks to our crowdfunding campaign, where you can help cover the costs of this live stream that we're doing right now, and of course other parts of the event as well. If you're at home and you're looking for scores, head on over to ifsc-climbing.org. That's where you can find all of the results in the competition calendar for the international circuit. Hit the calendar button, scroll down till you find the Pan American Youth Championships. Click on the category you desire, in this case either female A boulder or male A boulder, and you'll be able to see scores as they're being updated. For instance, we just got a top on men's and women's number 1, back-to-back from Galo Hernandez and Arabella Jariel. That's all updated by our volunteer judges. A huge thanks to them. One of them on each station's got an iPad, and they are plugging in these results as quickly as they can, so you can see how these climbers are doing as they finish their problems. I claimed that Arabella Jariel got a top on women's number 1, but it looks like she is about to take another attempt, so I'm not sure if the judges gave her points for the top on that last attempt. It is a very slippery volume, so it may have looked like a top to me, but she didn't in fact earn control of the finish hold. But she is back on now with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. I don't believe there was any technical call. That was just a misstep on my part. And that looks like a very dominant top this time. Nice work, Arabella. We're starting to see a pattern of pretty difficult starts for the men's problems. A few of them revolving around tough matching volume sequences, interesting positions that require a lot of tension. Watching Zachary on men's 3 and Jacinto on men's 2. And really just getting out of those start positions can be a lot of trouble. And of course, after men's 1, which was a heinous crimp fest, their fingers got to be feeling it at this point. But welcome to the Pan Ams. It's where the best from all across North America and South America meet. You got to be prepared for a challenge. And these guys are rising to the challenge today, putting in some excellent effort and some really cool tops. Out now on women's number 1 from Canada, Yinky Ying. And on men's number 1 from Chile, Francisco Gonzalez.
My second favorite name out of all the Canadian athletes. Come on, Yinky. Go, Zach.
Zach Richardson looking very confident on men's number 3, something we didn't quite see in the first 2 problems, but looking good. Falls after bonus. And Francisco Gonzalez on men's number 1 secures a top early on. Isabella Nowak shortly after secures top on women's number 2. Yinky Ying onto her second attempt on women's number 1.
Here we go, Zach. There you go.
And we're starting to see now up on this section of men's 3. Very difficult crimp section. And Zach again hitting the finish but not managing to lock it in. Tricky section with 4 crimps side by side. No evidence as to which is the best. You just got to make a decision and go for it. And it looks like I made another garbage call. Francisco Gonzalez from Chile. Thought for sure he had the top on men's 1, but he's still staring the thing down. So I guess he wasn't granted control on that either. The finish for it is very small. Again, they're jibs that are meant to be for your feet, so it's hard to get even 3 fingers on them, let alone 2 hands. So it may have been a case of not matching properly, or maybe a foot blew on his way up there, so my bad. But Francisco's still going for it.
Yes. Rush it off. Nice, Yinky. Come on, I know you're working hard over there.
We got a minute and 30 seconds left. Yinky Ying still working away on women's number 1. Again, the hard part, getting off the bonus volume in the steep, launching straight up to the finish sloper up on the vert wall. Francisco Gonzalez staring down for maybe 1 or 2 final attempts on men's 1.
Nice.
Nikolai Rivadenera on men's 2. Trying to get his way out of the lower section.
1 minute.
And Alejandro Contreras on women's number 3. Trying to get out of this mantle section. Very difficult. The sloper is real bad.
Come on, girl.
And then nothing to help you until the top of the wall.
Come on, Chica. That's fight. Oh, down to the buzzer.
And that's time. Our next climber's out on women's number 1 from Canada, Chloe Earl.
Number 4 over here.
And on men's number 1, from Mexico, Emmanuel Estrada de Artola.
On 3. Gallo on 2. And we have from Mexico, Emmanuel Estrada. And from Canada, coming out on number 1, Chloe Earl.
You guys can probably see a bunch of judges and officials in your view. I want to give a big thanks to the, of course, to all of the volunteers that signed up to do this in their own spare time, but also to the volunteer crew that is running the international technical team of Canada. Paul Leday is the jury president today. From Ecuador, Cosmo Maya is the technical delegate. From the United States, our IFSC official is Bruce Mitchell. We have an assistant technical delegate from Canada in Sebastian Powell. The technical coordinator for the event is Eric Lachance. And running the chrono system, those are our timers. And also an attending IFSC official is Babak Zia. So thank you guys for taking care of everything and supervising and training the judges, managing the timers, which is more of a headache than some people may expect. Everything is running smooth, and it's all thanks to those people. And of course, the route setters for today. The chief setter for the boulders is Simon Parton, and his assistant chief is Antonio Moya from Argentina. Chris Danielson is the setting coordinator and expert counselor, acting as a resource for the setting crew. Some of the other setters with work this weekend include Brett Johnson from the United States, who will be leading the difficulty setting team, and his assistant from Chile, Christian Carreras, along with many national level setters in Selena Wong, Laura Mathieu, Jairo Bogota, Nick Oklobzia, sorry Nick, Andrew McBurney, Oscar Lanzagorza, Juan Martin Miranda, Caleb Thomas, Kyle McCabe, and Martel Magnon. Thank you to all of those guys for the many days of work they put in before the event. And of course, it doesn't stop then. They are working every single day, putting up and taking down problems, and of course, watching every climber to get an idea of how they need to tweak problems for future rounds. So they've still got 6.5 more hard days of work. We really appreciate all the time that every single one of them put in. And we're so glad it's a multinational crew. The officials for the event include people from 8 different countries: Canada, Brazil, Colombia, Chile, the United States, Argentina, France, and Scotland. And we managed to reach relative gender equity with a total of 7 women and 9 men, something that the event's very proud of.
There you go.
Zachary Matthew on men's number 4, giving us our first taste of that problem, and getting high as well. If he can control this awkward finish hold, we'll see our first top for Zachary. Excellent work from Zach. And Kat Karkner giving us our first view of women's number 4, featuring a volume arrangement that's carried over from the B category, just with some minor changes.
Oh, nice save over on number 3. Very good, Valentina. Come on now, push, push. Yeah, come on. Oh.
And that's 1 minute left, about 45 seconds now.
That's right, Kat. Come on, Yahito.
If you're looking for scores, because of course I can't keep track of every single climber, make sure you visit ifsc-climbing.org. Click on the link for the calendar, which may be under the competition tab if I remember correctly. Scroll down until you find the Pan Am Championships, and you can select your category. So in this case, either male A boulder or female A boulder. And you'll be able to see the scores as they come in directly from the station judges. Those scores aren't official, and every once in a while you get something misentered. So if something looks wrong, don't worry. We've got an incredible team of professional judges with lots of international experience. Sometimes just between The iPads they hold, the internet connection, and the infrastructure on the IFSC end, sometimes things don't translate completely. So if there are any issues, I'm sure the judges will take care of it. But for the most part, those results are nice and accurate. Our new climbers out on men's number 1 from the United States is Stefan Fellner. And also from the United States on women's number 1 is Isabel Barrientos. Yinky Ying on women's number 2. Looks like she's about to flash with a top. You got one hand and a second. That's a great flash for Yinky. And Isabel Barrientos also securing a flash on women's number 1. The newest climbers on your screen on men's 2 is Francisco Gonzalez from Chile. And for the girls from the United States, Isabella Noyak. Women's number 3. Unfortunately, from my angle, I don't get to watch the start, but I get to see it on video. Looks like a ton of fun. Trying to get 4 points on that starting talon. Leaning your back into the wall behind you for support. And then from there, trying to come out through some very, very tiny crimps to get you around that corner to the sloper, which then hopefully you'll be able to mantle completely, get a foot up on that thing, stand up, and reach the top. And Stefan Fellner just had an excellent attempt on men's number 1, effectively reaching the top, but his fingers just popping off, so he secured bonus at the very least. If you guys are in Montreal this week, of course you can always come down to spectate, especially consider on Wednesday when we've got the bouldering finals for all 3 categories. Make sure you come out for that one. If not, consider coming by in the evening. We've got some of the climbs, some of the boulders in the speed wall open for the public to mess around on. Try and see what it's like to be a competitor at this level. The boulders will be the junior boulders, which are these ones, I believe, unless they're going to be tweaked. But you can come by tonight between 7:30 and 9:30, or Tuesday between 6:30 and 8:30, or Wednesday between 8:30 and 10:30. And those walls will be open for you to try. You can try a speed wall, maybe for the first time in your life, or you can hop on the junior boulders and just see how tiny these crimps are that I'm talking about, or how impossible some of these slopers are. If you want more information about that, you can always go to the website for this event. It's Climbingpanam2017.com, where you can also find a way to donate to the crowdfunder, a place to, of course, find the live stream that you're watching right now, and a lot of other information about the event, and also just visiting Montreal, which this year turned 375, one of Canada's great cities. If you get a chance to come out here, check out the Tourism Montreal website, find some stuff to do, and of course, check out all of Montreal's grade A gyms, including, of course, Horizon Rock, our host today. Out on Rue Dixon in the west part of the city, right around the corner from Montreal's Olympic Stadium, which is also an incredible sightseeing destination. You can get a chance to go up into the tower that stands over the stadium and get a beautiful view of the surrounding city and the river and Mount Royal. Montreal is worth the trip for sure. That is time. We're going to bring out some new climbers. On men's number 1, our first Brazilian climber for the day, Felipe Hamdar. And for the ladies, from Argentina, Ana Luz Torres. And again, if you guys have any questions about the problems, about how the competition works, about how the Olympics work, just shoot me a tweet at Plastic Weekly. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the official event Twitters. You guys should make sure you follow Access Escalade on Twitter. They are a huge part of running this event. Make sure you give them a follow. You can also find them on Facebook at Access Escalade Montreal or Instagram at Access Escalade Montreal as well. And of course, we got Facebook pages and Facebook events for this entire event. So take a look at the Facebook page for Access Escalade Montreal. There's also an event for the Championnat Panaméricain. You can find that linked on the page. Or just the Facebook page for the Climbing Pan Am. Give them all a like. Your engagement shows the sponsors that there's an audience worth advertising to, and that's something that's really important for climbing here. Chloe Earl on women's number 2. Putting in work. Bonus is secured, but unfortunately having to let go right before a top. And we get our second top on men's number 4. That was Jacinto Velasco Lozano on men's number 4, securing another confident top. As we watch lots of work being done. On men's 2, women's 3, men's 3. And of course, we still have climbers on men's 1 and women's 1. And women's 2, just out of the shot. They're all currently taking a breather. Problem number 5, Zachary Matthew and Catherine Karkner. They're our first climbers that came out today, so this is their last chance to make an impact on the scoreboard. Cat with a burly volume climb, coming up a series of ledges and trying to end up on a slopey crimp finish rail. And Zachary getting out of the volume section with some relatively stable crimps and entering into the dead zone of sheer crimps. An exposed slab. Trying to work his way up, and always the hard part of these is finding a way to get some confidence in your feet to help you get higher. It's easy to stand on the big stuff, but you got to find that way to commit to the little feet and get yourself out of there. And we'll see if Zachary can finish that up with 1:10 left on the clock.
Come on, Bella. 1 minute. One more try, Zach. Your last boulder. 30 seconds.
And of course, a shout out to Pete Woods from Alberta. He's rocking the mic down on the floor, keeping people informed and engaged. The dude's a monster. He's going to be here all 7 days, rocking the mic. And especially when we get to finals, I'm sure you'll be able to hear him from our microphones, getting loud and taking the crowd with him. Your next climbers up from the United States on men's number 1 is Ross Fulkerson. And on women's number 1 from Canada, Madison Fisher. Isabella Barrientos making women's number 2 look like a ladder right now. She's got bonus for sure. Just one move away from the top. We'll see if she can lock it down. One hand on it. And that's your second hand. Isabel Barrientos gets women's number 2. Madison Fisher, again, looking good in this position like a lot of the girls in the past, where bonus is a pretty easy way to get to, but firing yourself up to match up on the finish is hard, and they give it to her. That's a top on women's number 1 for Madison Fisher. Ross Fulkerson also getting high on men's 1. One hand on the finish.
Nice job.
And he gets the top as well. Good start to this round. We still have 3 minutes and 28 seconds left on the clock.
All right, Zach. Venga, venga, venga. Flying everywhere. Doing a bouldering comp. Oh, Zach.
Zach Richardson managing to reach some of the later holds on men's number 5, but not sure if you're going to be able to get away with the kind of dynamic moves he's attempting on these holds. Nikolai Rivadiniera on men's number 4. Making the bottom part look easy, just having trouble getting to the hold right before top. Maybe moving a bit too dynamic for how small that crimp is. Hopefully he can figure something out. We have 1 minute and 18 seconds left on the clock. That's 1 minute remaining.
Here we go, Zach. Yes,
lots of climbers really giving a solid burn on their final attempt. And Nikolai manages to get that second last hold. 30 seconds left, manages to get the top. After so many attempts, that's great for Nikolai.
All right, Isa. Clock's ticking, girl. Come on, Isa. That's all right.
Folks getting loud for Isabella Nowak in the crowd behind me. You can see a few people on your monitor. Of course, we got lots of people down on the floor in front of the boulders, but up in the mezzanine, lots of loud fans as well supporting their countrymen. We still have lots of space for you though, so if you're around and you want to come cheer on the crowd and see what's going on, come on down to Horizon Rock. one of the gyms you gotta see in Canada. And of course, what a better time to see it than when it's full of the continent's best climbers. Our new climbers out on men's number 1 from Canada, Aidan Doyle. And for the women from Ecuador, Alexandra Mena. And some excellent looking climbing up on men's and women's 4.
Good job, Isabella.
Gallo Hernandez manages to secure the top, followed immediately after. By Arabella Jeriel of the United States. Sorry, I got a lot of names I got to look through. If I'm slow, that's why. And Valentina Aguado, one of the top climbers in the world in her category, manages a really quick top on women's number 5, looking very strong. Alexandra on women's 1, still working away, trying to get the finish. Aidan Doyle on men's 1. Haven't gotten to see too much, but he's currently just working on the start position, which, as we mentioned earlier, is definitely one of the harder starts of the comp. Men's 1 and women's 2 are entirely composed of footholds that really fit no more than 2 fingers each. And you can see the climbers trying to crimp them. They're basically getting their 2 middle fingers over the holds and pinching it with their index and their pinky fingers to get as much grip as you can. And women's 1, ultimately a set of big slopers in a 45-degree cave. Once you hit the bonus, you're pulling onto the head wall, reaching up to a giant font sloper with really nowhere to grab. And trying to lock it down, keeping your feet low to keep that center of gravity in the wall. So tough problems right off the bat. We got a minute 45 left on the clock for our current set of climbers. Jacinto on men's number 5. And again, might be one of the most trying pieces of climbing this round, coming through all of these problems, ending up on genuine slab with a relatively easy start and forcing you to confront all of your fears and all of your foot insecurities as you try and get up to a tantalizing sloper above. It's the kind of thing you just want to dyno to, but you can't. And with less than 1 minute left, we're still waiting. Hopefully Ana Luis Torres on women's 2 can make some progress, but she, along with Aidan Doyle on men's 1 and Alexandra Mena on women's 1, having a lot of trouble at the start for these climbers. 30 seconds left, but lots of climbs to go. We'll see what they can do in their final attempts. But after that, they may just have to focus on what's coming up next. Aidan Doyle getting so close to the top on his last attempt on men's 1, but unfortunately just can't get his hands on it. The crimps hurt too much, or at least they would for me. But excellent work from those climbers as they move on to their next climbs.
King from the US of A, and Tina Bunko from Canada.
Two North American climbers up now on men's and women's one. From Canada, Julia Bunko on women's number one. And from the United States on men's number one, Griffin Barrows King. Ross Fulkerson is now the guy you can see on M2. And Madison Fisher on the women's two, making short work of women's number two. That's a top for her. Yinky Ying getting high up on problem number 4. Nikolai over on problem number 5, entering the danger zone of the 5th problem. But he's being proactive and trying to use those feet. But still just not enough. It's not a friendly problem. I am excited to see what kind of person it takes to get a top on that, though. Here's hoping. We got lots of strong climbers to come. Francisco Gonzalez on men's number 4, taking a second to think about this climb. It's definitely one of the climbs with the friendlier starts, but as you get gripping onto the second volume area, it quickly becomes discouraging as you feel really out of balance and feel like you don't have much to step on. Yinky Ying on women's number 4, which again feels like a relatively easy start. You can really lay back into that feature, but as you go up, you also got to bring your feet with you, and that becomes tough as the foot positions are so tight into where your hands are. It becomes very easy to barn door out around the corner and off the wall.
Come on, Julia.
Griffin Barrows King eyeing down the second last hold on men's number 1 with a loud cheering crew. Unfortunately, his left hand pops off that second last hold. These are exactly the kind of holds that just kick your fingers right off. I took some pictures if you want to see what those problems look like. That's women's 1, women's 2, and men's 1. Check out my Twitter at Plastic Weekly. Unfortunately, I can't get on the official ones, but check out at Plastic Weekly. You'll see a couple pictures of those problems so you can imagine what the climbs look like. And of course, feel free to ask any questions. While you're on Twitter, make sure you give a shout out to Accès Escalade Montreal. They're the people behind running this entire event, making it all happen, coordinating the endless volunteers and officials and judges, coaches and athletes from around North, Central, and Southern America to get together for this event. Fire up that hashtag, Accès Escalade Montreal, to let them know you're paying attention out in the crowd.
1 minute. Come on, Francisco. Venga.
We've only got 45 seconds left in this round. Griffin Barrows King giving signals that he's optimistic about this last attempt he's going to take. Looking psyched up. As you may have heard P. Wood say, we're down to 30 seconds. Julia Bunko still working on one. But Julia and Griffin fortunately come off with 20 seconds left. Griffin's going to get back on. See how quickly he can climb this crimp ladder. 8 seconds left. Griffin's still on the wall. Second last holds. Kind of pumps off for the finish. Manages to get his hand on it, but not enough to secure a top. Excellent work. Welcome, bienvenido to the 2017 Climbing Pan Am Championships here in Montreal. Hope you've enjoyed what you've been seeing so far. My name's Tyler, and I'll be helping run you through all the action today, tomorrow, and bouldering finals on Wednesday. If you have any questions about the event, shoot a tweet to me. You can find me at Plastic Weekly, and I'll try and answer any questions you have about the athletes, the scores, the competition, the organizers, the sponsors, anything you're curious about. Send me a message. I'll be watching, and I'll try and answer whatever I can for you. And if you can only get in touch in a language outside of English, I'll try and fire up Google Translate and explain anything I can as well as I possibly can. Sorry for the delay. There was a small issue with a wall mount, so I think the video online missed maybe one or two problems. For the women, a bunch of early flashes for the girls from Indiana Chapman and Sonia Collender. We were missing one boy from the running order. The very first boy on the official running order was not attending the competition, so we won't have a score for Domingo Jones. But otherwise, we are on schedule. This is going to be a long day for all of us. We're, of course, only a little bit into the B category for the boys and girls bouldering qualifiers. This afternoon, starting around 2 o'clock, we expect the A category and the juniors as well. So we're going to be here all day. I'm going to try not to do too much talking. We'll let the action speak for itself. But again, if you have any questions, first check the website, climbingpanam17.com. That's where, of course, you can find the live stream. You can find links to the scores, to a lot of the information about the comp. But if you have any other questions, you can just send a tweet to me at Plastic Weekly. At the same time, if you have any issues with the stream, if the volume's a little too crazy, if you can't hear us or there's something you can't see, again, let us know. You can tweet to us at Plastic Weekly, and I'll try and fix anything for you to make it a better viewing experience. But as you all know, it's a qualifying round of bouldering. There are 10 problems at a time, so we're not always going to be able to see everything. I know from our current angles, it's not currently showing the 5th problem, although we don't have kids there just yet. We're going to try and keep things moving around as much as possible to help you see the entire wall. The route setting crew made some last minute decisions to place some problems in areas that originally weren't expected, so we're a little short on camera coverage, but we're doing our best, and I think we're doing A-okay. Today's competition features athletes from 10 different countries. We're looking at about 200 different competitors from across North and South America. Of course, Canada, which you see well represented on the walls right now, and our friends from the United States, and Mexico, Guatemala, Ecuador, Colombia, Chile, Brazil, and Argentina. Argentina, of course, hosting the 2018 Youth Olympic Games, where climbing will make its first appearance at an Olympic event. For the A category coming up this afternoon and through the week, some of those climbers will be fighting for spots at the Youth Olympic Games. I was speaking to the coaches from Team USA earlier today. Unfortunately, because of decisions made by the United States Olympic Committee, there won't be any American athletes in the climbing discipline at the Youth Olympic Games. But I was speaking to the coaches, and they said their kids are still very excited to compete here. it's still an excellent event for them to get international experience without necessarily having to hop the pond. And so we're really excited for all of their climbers. Of course, the United States fielding lots of strong competitors, and in many cases setting a great high bar for the rest of the kids out here in North America to try and live up to. So we're glad they still joined us, even though they're not able to lock down that spot for the Olympic Games. It'll Beth Hansen, unfortunately I won't be able to update you on the score you're looking for Nikia Sanders. In the chaos, we were running around a bit to make sure everything was working properly, so I can't give you the instant information for yourself. Those scores should be posted at ifsc-climbing.org as soon as she's done her round, but unfortunately, aside from what you see on the screens, that's all I see as well. So I won't be able to give you an update on that right now. Maybe for the later competitors, if my memory really stands up, I'll be able to, but I'm not able to access the judges' scoring. So the first official scores I see are also on the website. And actually, as I'm looking at that, those scores are being updated as we go, so you don't have to wait until all 5 problems are done. They are inputting those scores, it looks, as the competitors finish their climbs. So if you visit ifsc-climbing.org, under the calendar link, you'll find a link to World Competitions. Scroll down until you find the Youth Pan Am Climbing event, and then you can select your category, and you should be able to see all of those scores coming up on your site. And I'll look up Nikia as we speak. Nikia Sanders, from what I see on the page, scored the top on problem number 1 in a flash, so that's an excellent start for her. She's not the only one. A bunch of the girls have also flashed problem number 1. I don't have a score inputted for problem number 2 at the moment, so that may mean no bonus was achieved. It is a hard problem. The Gaston into the undercling up on the second volume has been messing with a bunch of the girls, so that's understandable, and we'll see how she does from there. Thank you for sending your question. And we're watching our first male climber of the day, Emiliano Espinoza Dominguez from the United States. He's the trailblazer on men's number 4, so we'll get to see a first idea of the beta over here. That's the big blue volumes on the left side of your screen. That's problem number 4 for the men. Beside him, we've got Sonia Colliander, from Canada, working her way up women's number 4. Off your screen on men's number 1. Is currently Leonardo Magallanes Tejada. On women's number 2 is Megan Bokenfor from Canada. On problem number 1 Leonardo has achieved bonus on problem 4. Oh, just missing the top on problem number 4.
I like it. There you go.
And problem number 1 for the boys, proving really difficult. Even just achieving bonus is tough. If you can get one hand on it, getting 2 is even harder, and controlling that tiny, very, very flat screw-on to do effectively a big pull-up dyno to a thumb catch sloper. It's a tough move. We're not seeing a lot of tops up there. Leonardo probably with his final attempt. Unfortunately not scoring the top. It looks like he'll step back.
Give this one more good crack. Come on, finish strong. Come on, get this thing done.
And men's number 4. Is it going to happen this time?
Oh,
Yes, it is.
worked it out. Not a lot of time to spare. That's going to do it.
It is a rainy morning here in Montreal. We're at Horizon Rock, one of the largest climbing gyms in Canada, which has recently had a rejuvenation specifically for this event. Women's number 2 and men's number 1 are on the brand new speed wall. It's the first official speed wall in Eastern Canada. They popped the roof off this gym to fit the thing in, and we're getting some use out of it, not just for speed climbing, but also for bouldering. Here at Horizon Rock, we're just around the corner from the Olympic Stadium. Montreal hosted the Summer Olympics in 1976. If you ever get a chance to visit, make sure you come down here to climb. Check out the Olympic Park, where you can go up the incredible tower over the stadium. If you haven't seen it, check out pictures. You can get a beautiful panorama of Montreal, which is a beautiful city by itself. Off your screen, Sienna Kopf from the United States achieved top on problem number 1. On men's number 1, Guy McNamee has the bonus and is trying to work his way up to the top. And Indiana Chapman, our first climber of the day, achieves the top on problem number 5. And it looks like she may be the one to beat here today in Montreal.
Oh, nice, John. Venga.
Also off your screen right now on women's number 2, Lola Rabinovich, still working her way on women's number 2. And again, if you're looking for scores, make sure you head to ifsc-climbing.org. That's where you can find scores from all the big events, from the World Cups, from the World Youth Championships, and also these Pan American Championships. Go to the calendar section of the website. You'll find all the events. Scroll down just a little bit when you see the Pan American Youth Championships. That's this event. And you can find the results under the male Youth B boulder or female Youth B boulder. And those are being updated by the judges at their site. They've all got phones or iPads, so they're entering those scores either as the attempts happen or as the problems finish. So you'll be able to see those scores before they've finished all of their problems, which is nice. If you're watching along and you have any questions about any of the problems or anything going on here at the comp, unfortunately there isn't a comment section, but if you want to reach me, I'll be here for the next 3 days. You can tweet me at Plastic Weekly. Hit me up on Twitter or maybe in the comment section on Instagram. But Twitter would be best, and I'll do my best to answer any questions. I managed to get a tour of the problems earlier, so I've got a bit of an idea of what all the holds look like. So if you're unsure of how things climb, just shoot me a message, and I'll see what I can do for you. That's at Plastic Weekly. And Guy McNamee manages to score the top on men's number 1 just off the camera, just before the minute mark. So Guy starts his run with a top. Lola Rabinovich still trying to work her way through this problem. She's got about 30 seconds left.
Just going to take it right down to the wire.
And it looks like Lola will stop her attempts there.
10 seconds. That's going to do it. Victor Boulder. Good effort. All right. On number 1 from Mexico, Maria Fernanda Herrejo. Trying. And over on number 1, Reno Leza. Leonardo is back on number 2. Hugo and then Dreams.
On problem number 1 for the men and women, we've got 2 athletes from Mexico.
Down on the end over there.
On the men's problem, we see Reno Leza Meza. I'm sorry for any terrible pronunciation. And on women's number 1, we've got Maria Fernanda Arayon Gonzalez.
Sonia down there on number 5.
And for the first time, we've got a climber on men's number 5. Emiliano from the United States trying to work that out. Climbing on holds that are pretty familiar for the American climbers. Shouldn't be too much of a mystery, but once you get beyond those starting volumes, you are dealing with some very blank little screw-ons. They're enough for a thumb, they're enough for a finger, they're enough for a toe, but that is it.
Come on, Maria. Oh my goodness. Look at that.
Reynold on problem 1 makes a big throw to the top, so he has achieved bonus. Just got to try and work his way to finish it up. And Maria Fernanda on 1. Unfortunately, my angle makes it really hard to see how the climbers are going. She hasn't achieved top just yet. She might have bonus. But you can always check the scores at ifsc-climbing.org to double check when their climbs are done. As you might know, this is one long event, a 7-day event. We're going to deal with 3 days of bouldering, I think 1 day of speed, a couple days of lead, and then of course the combined event over the weekend, which is what we'll use to determine which of our kids claim the 2 male and 2 female spots allocated to us for the Youth Olympics next year in Buenos Aires. But for a 7-day event, of course, there's many more days of route setting. Fortunately, we have a huge crew of setters from across North and South America coordinating it all, and the expert counselor is, of course, Chris Danielson from the United States. The chief setter for the bouldering rounds is Simon Parton from here in Canada. The chief setter for the lead component is Brett Johnson from the United States. The assistant chief for bouldering is Antonio Moya from Argentina, and the assistant chief for lead from Chile is Christian Carreras. And they are being assisted by a long list of setters, 10 more setters in continental training. Selena Wong from Canada, Laure Mathieu from Montreal, Yarrow Bogota from Colombia, Nick from the United States. I'm not going to try that last name, sorry Nico. Andrew McBurney from Canada, Oscar Lansagorza from Canada, Brett Johnson from the United States, Christian Carreras, Juan Martin Miranda from Argentina, Caleb Thomas, Kyle McCabe from the States, and Martel Magnan from Canada. Thanks to all those guys for the many, many days they've already put in for setting, and of course they can't sleep just because the event has started. They are here making sure the walls are in good shape, watching how the competitors do to make tweaks for more rounds. So this is one long event for them. And we just had a top on women's number 2 off your screen, who I believe was Sienna Kampf. I can't see your number, so I can't confirm. And on men's number 1 off your screen, number 11, Benjamin Newman from here in Canada, just working to get that top. Our buddy Benjamin Newman still trying to get that top on men's number 1. For the boys, it looks like it's one of those problems where it's easy to try and take the quick way out and make it very dynamic, but it seems like the best beta so far is to really commit into a small foot to help keep the tension. Try and stand up and hit the finish sloper, which is trash. But fortunately, it's got a screw-on thumb jib, which has been enough for some climbers. But everybody else seems pretty frightened of trying to stick that foot, which is understandable because you got a big volume you could slide down onto.
John. Come on, get around this thing.
Speaking of holds, We've got some excellent hold sponsors providing their wares today, and you will see more of their products as we get towards finals on Wednesday, when of course the problems will certainly be at their best with the coolest looking holds, the most exciting moves. You can see products from our proud hold sponsors: Bloc's Climbing Equipment, Kumiki Climbing, PCM Premium Volumes, and Dimension Volumes. On women's number 1 off your screen, we've got Victoria Holguin Morales. On a women's number 2, for her second problem, Maria Fernanda Arion Gonzalez. And on problem number 1 from Canada, Ethan Wyatt. And Beth Hansen, about your question, mentioning a couple climbers who have a blank white box for their climbs. And of course, you can see these if you go to ifsc-climbing.org. Go to the calendar page and find this event, and then find the appropriate category. You can see all the scores as they come in. And Beth mentions that there are some scores that look like they're not being entered. The blank box usually means at this stage in the competition that the scores haven't been processed properly in the digital system. There are 2 judges at each station. For the most part, one of them is taking down the paper score and the other is doing the digital scoring. I've judged for a couple World Cups, and I know those iPads that the IFSC provides aren't always perfect. The internet connection isn't always great, and of course it's usually the judge's first time using that system. So malfunctions are very common. I think it is more likely that there is a technical issue, or sometimes if the judges are unsure of the protocol, that climber may not have achieved a score on that problem, and rather than entering zeros in the system, the judge skips to the next athlete, which is also a common issue. For women's number 2, it's a bit of an awkward start. You're grasping a volume left to right in both hands. You've got a low foot and then trying to get the other foot high up onto your hand volume. And the next move is basically going straight up into a Gaston undercling on a volume above you. So aside from the start being hard to get on, the next hold, even before bonuses, is really tough to achieve. Even the earliest, highest ranked climbers did have a lot of trouble with that move. So it is definitely possible that those climbers with the blank may have just not have scored any score on that problem. I'll try and keep an eye out on that and see if that correlates with what I can see from here. With a minute left, Mexico well represented on the wall. But it's something, unfortunately, us Canadians don't get to see too often. North and South America, unfortunately, are one of the less developed climbing communities around the world. Europe and Asia consistently hold a continental championship every single year. For us here in the Americas, it's more difficult. We have fewer facilities that are willing to host. Maybe we have less financial support from our governments, from sponsors. So the last Pan American Championship was held back in 2014, held by our friends down in Mexico City. Any chance all of these climbers can get to climb against each other is always a worthwhile event. And of course, when so many world championships are held in Asia or Europe, the cost can definitely be prohibitive for families. So hopefully we can start spending more time holding events like this here in North America and Central and South America, so we can spend a little less money, we can see more of our neighbors, and hopefully develop climbing among all these countries together. And if the Olympics stays a consistent factor, and we're always trying to qualify people for the Youth Olympic Games, maybe we'll have consistent youth championships, which would be a nice change for all of us, for the kids, for the coaches, for the parents. And of course, we aren't mandated to host this event. With the announcement of climbing in the Youth Olympic Games, the Pan Am Council of the IFSC got together to work extra hard to try and make an event happen, even though it hasn't happened the last 2 years. Maria Izquierdo and Canada fortunately had the facility to help step up. In fact, they didn't have the facility, they upgraded the facility just to host it. So we're proud that our friends in Montreal have put so much money into this facility to help us host this event and send some kids to the Youth Olympics. Otherwise, we would be out of luck, and North and South America would have less representation than we could have. On men's number 1 off your screen, we've got Kindar McNamee. He's achieved the bonus, but top is a really hard step on this climb. It's an interesting climb. It's pretty short. There's 3 volumes on the wall. The first volume is the start, the second is the bonus, and the last is the top. And of course, with so few ingredients, you can still make a really tough climb. On women's number 1 from Mexico again, Alessia Reyes Zachariah is working her way up. She's doing excellent. She's her next hold is the top, and it looks like she might achieve it. Excellent job from Alessia. Great top on women's number 1 for Mexico. And of course, if you have any questions about the problems on your screen or off your screen, unfortunately we don't have a chat for the video. Maybe that's a good thing, so you guys can't spam me. But if you have questions, just tweet me at Plastic Weekly. My name's Tyler, and I'll do my best to get you any answers. If you have questions about the holds, questions about the moves, questions about the organization, let me know and I'll try and hook you up. And a shout out to Canadian Climbing News correcting me on something I said. I think I said that 2 men and 2 women from the Youth A category will be taken from this event. It is just 1 man and 1 woman. My bad. So when we get to the combined event this weekend, that's where we'll be deciding which of our A category kids will be heading on down to Buenos Aires for the Youth Olympic Games in 2018. Thanks very much, Canadian Climbing News, an excellent resource. If you don't follow them, check them out. They always seem to be the first ones up to date on scores, on policies. They're an excellent resource. Give them a follow. See what's going on, and I'm sure they'll be posting lots of updates through the event. Off your screen on women's number 1, Regina Salazar. On men's number 1, Colin Duffy from the States. On a women's number 2, which is also off your screen, we have Victoria Holguin Morales. And while we don't have a way to put scores up on the live stream, make sure you check those live updated scores at the IFSC website. That's where you can find scores for World Cups, World Championships, Paraclimbing World Cups. ifsc-climbing.org. Hit the link for calendar and scroll down until you find the Youth Pan Am Championships. Click on the category you desire and you will see those results being updated as we go. I'm going to skip giving the spiel about how scoring works for this, but if you're unsure, feel free to ask. I'm assuming most of our viewers for a qualifying round of a Youth B category probably already have a good idea of how this all works. But if not, let me know. I'm happy to try and explain it in as few words as possible. We're already 2 minutes into this problem. And on men's number 1, Colin Duffy. It's a pretty familiar name for anybody that follows youth climbing in North America. Possibly one of the strongest contenders in his category, and whatever category he's ever in. And of course, he's working really hard on this men's number 1. Achieves a bonus like most of our male climbers there, but still having trouble getting up to the top. So right off the bat, these climbs are kicking butt. All of these kids working hard to try and qualify for semifinals tomorrow. And semifinals for the Youth B category should start at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Today we started about a half hour late. But I expect once we've worked out the kinks from today, we should be on schedule tomorrow for a 10 o'clock start to see the semifinals. And they'll be fighting to get the last couple spots to get to finals, which happens on Wednesday for the bouldering event, for all 3 categories. About 37 seconds left for these climbers. From my view, I genuinely can't tell if you can see the timers. I don't think you can, but I believe we have sound, so you'll hear the beeps. Of course, these climbers have 5 minutes to try and achieve the top. If they don't hold on to the top as the buzzer goes, their time is up. They're in the chair for the next problem and won't score. 10 seconds left. Colin Duffy, Youth B superstar, really having trouble on that problem, just like all the other boys before him for the most part. And we are on to our next climbers. Big cheer from the Colombian crowd as our first Colombian climbers out on the wall. That's Gabriel Lancheros Poveda on men's number 1. Women's number 1, Armel Pozo. Armel Pozo from Ecuador, actually looking really good on this climb. And if she can match the top, then that's going to be a flash. With an event like this, the order of the qualifiers is organized by their world ranking. So you've seen a lot of Canadian and American climbers at the top of the event, and for the most part that's because they attended a World Youth Championship and they're already within the international circuit. A lot of our friends from South America and Central America don't attend the World Youth Championships and therefore haven't earned a world ranking, which puts them at the bottom of the running order. So while you would typically look at an event like this and expect the first climbers out to do better, because we have a lot of unranked climbers, we're still going to see a lot of surprises down in the bottom half of the running order, because we've just never seen them compete before at a world championship, and so we just don't have information on them. And we're seeing tops already. It's looking excellent.
Over there on your right, Xander Waller making moves. Nice, Kinder. Come on, Xander. Come on, keep working. Oh, no. All right, you got time, brother. You got time. Come on, Gabriel. Nice, Ali. Une minute. Allez, Ben. job. A well-deserved fist pump. Come on, Ben. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Ali. Oh my goodness! The buzzer beater over on number 3. Nice job, Ali. Just got to keep it exciting. All right, Mexico, Aranza Fernandez. Look at Owen Gambling. Sorry, Owen, your name is not as exciting to say. Owen Gambling. Aranza. Regina, Victoria, Maria, and Marielle Hortzman. Come on, Marielle. Yes.
On men's number 1 right now, you're seeing Owen Gambling from Canada. Well, I shouldn't say seeing. He's working on it. You can't see him on the screen, but he's doing his best. For the women, we're coming down to our final climbers on women's number 1. Aranza Fernandez Gutierrez. It looks like she achieved the top because she's back in her chair already with 2 minutes to go. We got cheers for Team Mexico as 4 of their climbers are on the wall right now. 5 of their climbers. We got somebody on men's number 5, which is kind of hard for me to see, but they are working it out. Men's number 5, man, after being tired from 4 previous problems, and then you got to slow it all down and concentrate for a killer slab finish. That is a tough way to end the day. But we're seeing some excellent progress over there.
Head root setter to Boulder number 2, please. Head root setter, men's number 2.
We talk about all the work behind an event like this, not to mention the fact that This venue was effectively rebuilt just to host the event. I want to make sure I've addressed all of the volunteers who have coordinated this effort. Maria Izquierdo is really the spearhead for the event. She's the project director for Accès Escalade Montreal. Valerie Laforge, the event coordinator, who's been great working with me, helping me out. Eric Lachance is the technical coordinator. Christine Deschênes, the volunteer coordinator, which is always one of the most difficult jobs at the events. Make sure you give respect to the volunteer coordinators. Paloma Izquierdo, she is the athlete and team services coordinator. Mathilde Cambus, she's in charge of the crowdfunding campaign. Vincien Destoop is the supplier coordinator. And Anshuza is taking care of the communication support. Speaking of the crowdfunding, this live stream is only possible because of the funds that we've raised from the crowdfunding on the Climbingpanam17.com website. If you guys value this, if you think it's worth $1 or $2, $5, $10 to help people from across our continent see this event, even if they can't make the trip, please consider donating a few bucks, whatever you can. It helps support everything going on here, and of course it helps us raise the bar on these events so we can keep making them happen every year, make sure they're higher and higher quality, better not just for the competitors but for the spectators, wherever they may be, either here in the house or at home. From the very north of Canada to the very south of Argentina, everybody can access it if you've got an internet connection, and that's all because of folks like you who have been donating a few dollars. So thank you so much. And of course that crowdfunder is still open, so please consider donating a buck or two as you can. And I want to give a shout out to Emma Harris, old friend of mine working back at the old homestead. And she just let me know that you guys are able to switch cameras so that you can actually see everything. The only view I get is basically men's number 2 through to men's number 5. So I've got everything right in front of me. I'm watching the real thing, so it's not so bad. But my bad for making it sound like you couldn't see them. I'll try and cover everybody fairly. If you haven't found that feature, apparently you can switch cameras to see everything. So make sure you check that out. Thank you so much, Emma. I appreciate it. Currently on men's number 1 is Nathaniel Surma from the United States. And I believe we saw a flash from Babette Roy from Canada on women's number 1. If not a flash, she has topped it because she's back in her chair with more than 2 minutes to go. If you guys are watching along and you want to share this event, make sure you're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Share it with your friends. I want you to try and find the accounts on Twitter for Accès Escalade. They're the foundation that's helping make this thing possible. You can also find them on Instagram at Accès Escalade Montreal. And you just use the hashtag Accès Escalade Montreal. And of course the hashtag Climbingpanams2017. That's the kind of hashtag that unifies all of these posts. So if you're taking pictures, if you're tweeting about the action from your computer, or if you're just trying to share the live stream with your friends, hit it up in the hashtags. It sounds like a small gesture, but it means a lot to the organizers who are always trying to represent these events in a way that helps sponsors find value here to support us with their products and their funds. Events like this aren't possible without the help of all of our supporters, so we want to show that we're engaged. So if you can, fire off a tweet, throw something up on the old news feed, snap a pic of Instagram with you lying in bed with a bowl of popcorn watching all the action, and make sure you hit those hashtags up. That's hashtag Climbingpanams2017 Hashtag Access Escalade Montreal.
Come on, Nathaniel.
And speaking of sponsors,
30 seconds, brother.
the biggest sponsors of the event, of course, are Access Escalade Montreal,
Gotta get some. Come on, Guy.
with help from partners,
10 seconds.
the Pan American Council, they're a segment of the IFSC, and of course our host, Horizon Rock, here in Montreal. One of the biggest gyms in Canada who took this project on
That's exciting.
to host the Climbing Pan Ams here in Canada to get our kids
All right.
to Buenos Aires in 2018, the Youth Olympic Games.
The round.
Major partners, so we could never do this without, of course, the government of Quebec, the city of Montreal, and Tourism Montreal, as well as PME Montreal for the financial support, and Entreprise, who built these beautiful walls for you that you're seeing on the Boulder and on the speed wall. This is Canada's first official regulation speed wall in the eastern half of the country. So we're very excited for the prospects of climbers coming out of the Maritimes, coming out of Quebec and Ontario, who now have some place that they can get to relatively quick and work on their speed, because we've always kind of lagged behind without having a big old speed wall, and now we've got one. So thanks to Entreprise for helping us build these top quality walls to support our athletes. And of course, if you live in the northeastern United States, come on up here to Montreal. Tons of great gyms, and now you got a speed wall to practice on, so come and give us a visit. Maybe check out the Tourism Montreal website to find a hotel, find other stuff to do. It is a beautiful city. Just celebrated its 375th birthday. Come on down to Montreal and see what all the fuss is about. On men's number one right now, with about 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. From Ecuador is Victor Manuel Armendariz. And already finished up on women's number one, Helen Stevens from the United States. She is our final female competitor in the Youth B category. Colin Duffy sticking the big moves like we know he does up on men's number three. And more Mexican chants. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 ladies from Mexico on the wall right now with 2.5 minutes to go. Continuing our introduction of the sponsors, big ups to the Perfect Descent climbing system. Of course, they provide the auto belays for our speed wall here. Not just your regular auto belays, but they pull in speedy quick fast, so all those top speed climbers don't get dropped. So thank you to Perfect Descent for their support. And of course, if you're staying here in Montreal, check out Hotel Gouverneur de Montréal, Auberge Royale Versailles, or the Travelodge Centerville. They're all official hotels here. And then all of our other collaborators. We got to mention INS Quebec. We got to thank 5600 for their support. TV Go for providing this webcast. The boys sitting beside me right now doing an excellent job of keeping everything running smooth. ESIM for helping us recruit volunteers. The Eco Quartier Mercier Hochelaga Maisonneuve neighborhood. the Conseil Québécois événements éco-responsable for also helping with the sustainable certification of this event. And of course, Make a Champ for working with us to support this live stream and the event. And of course, you can donate at makeachamp.com. You can find our event, I believe, right on the front page. Also, Stay 22 for their help with lodging solutions. Welcome Athletes as well for helping us find space for the athletes coming here from around the world. Residence 1515 for putting up our route setters. That's a group of party people right there. If you ever get a chance to stay with the route setters, you're going to hear a lot of stories. And of course, L'Accordé. And you can find 10 to 20% off in their store during the week. Make sure you find L'Accordé. That's L-A space C-O-R-D-E-E. Excellent climbing store, and they've got a sale going on right now, 10 to 20% off of all the top climbing gear. So check them out, and thank you to all of those people that I mentioned for their incredible support of this event here in Montreal.
Please welcome for the gentlemen, Emilio Valdez on number 1. Nathaniel on 2, Gabriel is on 3, Kinder on 4, Van Newman down there on the 5.
If you didn't hear already, we've got Emilio Valdez Garduño on men's number 1. He's our third last male competitor for the B category. Just a couple more to go. Later on today, we'll be starting up for the A and junior categories, who based on the schedule should be climbing slightly different problems from these ones. That should start around 2 p.m. Eastern time. And after lunch, I'll be back to help follow along with that. And of course, semifinals is tomorrow and finals on Wednesday for bouldering. So make sure you tune into those, especially if you're looking for a show. Tune in on Wednesday for the big finals. It means a lot to these kids to be the Pan American champion. It also means a lot as a competitor. Being the champion on a continental level gets you lots of extra perks. It lets you attend events without having to qualify through the regular comp stream. So that is something that a lot of our competitors are hoping to achieve. Makes it much easier to get to a World Cup. If you are the bouldering champion here, then you can go to World Cups basically without qualifying through your own country. You get that extra bye. And of course, finals is on Wednesday, but that's just for bouldering. After that, we've got speed climbing, lead climbing, and then the brand new combined event. It's going to be the first combined event in North America. They've already held it in Europe, and they've figured it out in Asia. We're doing it for the first time now, and it's the format you're going to see at the Youth Olympic Games in 2018 and at the Olympic Games in Tokyo in 2020. So if you want to see what it's all about, you can check that out this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. You'll see the lead finals and, of course, the combined finals, which is where we'll decide who gets the bye to go down to Buenos Aires next year for the Youth Olympic Games, representing the Americas. And Jamie Galloway, from what I've heard, you can see most of the problems. Maybe not, though. Maybe 1 and 2 are still difficult to see, so I will try and keep you updated. Women's number 1 is on the steep. You're basically pulling through small crimps through a couple volumes to come around a head wall. Pulling a crimp on the flat and trying to rock your weight over a small foothold, and then clamping down on a brutal sloper for the finish. Women's number 2 and men's number 1 are very similar. They are mounted on the speed wall, so a bit of an incline. Women's number 2 is a real toughie. You're starting at a very tight 4-point start down on 2 volumes. So you've got your arms spread wide, one foot up in your face and the other foot low down. And then you're basically doing a big push straight upwards into an undercling, a Gaston undercling, which a lot of kids have had trouble with, but right now Babette Roy from Canada managed to send that thing. If you can stick the undercling, bonus is basically a given, and then after that you gotta step on a pretty awful foot out to the right and secure top, which is just a triangular volume with nothing on it. Seen a lot of falls today. Men's number 1, kind of similar. Basically just 3 volumes in total, another tight start. You're going straight up to a terrible flat screw-on a very inclined volume, which you have to match, so you're trying to keep your hips way in while your feet are on tiny, tiny footholds. At that point, the top is tantalizingly close to you, but it is a sloping volume with just a little thumb screw-on attached. A lot of the climbers from bonus try and dyno up to the finish, which has not seen much success. There's a tiny little foot jib that you have to try and use to keep the tension, but that's a scary move, understandably. It's hard to commit to that. A lot of the boys looks like they get a little bit scared off, but if they can commit to that move, then they can probably score the top on men's number 1. And while we're done with new female competitors, we've still got a couple more boys coming out. On men's number 1, we've got our second last athlete, Ethan Friedenheim from the United States. Another adventure in pronunciation. And of course, if you're looking for scores, the place to go is ifsc-climbing.org. That's where you can find all of the scores. Check the calendar page, scroll down till you find the Pan American Championships, and you can see all the scores as they happen. All of our judges have iPads where they're trying to enter those scores as quickly as they can. Technically, they are unofficial results, so they could change either by appeal or by just technical issue. But those scores have been looking pretty on the ball right now, so you can get a lot from those scores at ifsc-climbing.org. If you guys are posting on Facebook or looking for something to follow, check out the Facebook page for Access Escalade Montreal. They do a lot of work here in Montreal trying to improve people's chances to get into climbing, and of course supporting a lot of competitive work here in Quebec. You can also visit the Facebook page for the Climbingpanam17. Give it a like and you'll probably see pictures and lots of updates from the event. And of course there's a separate Facebook event. This one in French is the Championnat Panaméricain Escalade. You can find that as well, probably if you go to the Facebook page for the Climbing Panams. Unfortunately, we're really tight up here in the bleachers, me and the boys from TV Go, so I don't have space for too much laptop work. I can't double check a lot of these links for you, but they've been provided to me by the excellent volunteers here. So make sure you give them a follow. That social engagement means a lot in trying to secure sponsors and support these events. And of course, if you have questions, my name's Tyler. I don't have access to the official Twitter or Facebook, so if you want to get in touch with me, tweet me at Plastic Weekly. That's my account, and I'll try and answer any questions you have. Or if there are any issues you think could be fixed, I can do my best from up here in this secluded little area to try and make something happen for you. Thanks to everybody watching. It means a lot that you're tuning in for this. It is just the qualifiers on the first day. But for a lot of our athletes, this is one of the biggest events that they've had in their lifetime, and that means a lot. It's a huge learning experience for the climbers. It's a huge experience for their coaches as they get to see how their kids handle these new kinds of pressure. And to have you guys watching and be excited about it and posting with those hashtags like Climbingpanam2017, showing that engagement and that all these kids have people behind them, that's a huge step forward for our sport here in the Americas. I hope you'll stay engaged. I hope you'll share on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever social media you use. Try and get the word out. Every viewer means a lot. And if you can't tune in to every single day of this 7-day event, consider at least for the finals rounds. The bouldering finals takes place on Wednesday. For this category, the finals should start around noontime. For the A athletes, should start around 3 o'clock, and for the junior athletes, should start around 6:30. All of those on Wednesday. Those are the finals. Speed, of course, is always exciting, and you're going to see the speed finals starting around 6:30 Eastern on Thursday after the qualifications throughout the day. Lead qualifiers are on Friday, with semifinals Saturday morning and finals in the evening.
Ethan Wide down on the end, 10 seconds.
And then the combined format is on Sunday. We'll see the first part, which is speed, in the morning, starting around 10:30. Around noon, the boulder component will begin. Then the lead component around 3, and then we take all of those ranks, put them together, and find out who is the best all-around climber in all of these categories. And for the A category, they could be the ones representing us at the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires 2018.
Up on number 3. Now on 4. Alicia Reyes on number 5.
We have our final male competitor out on men's number 1 right now. Representing Mexico, we've got Diego Eugenio Zuniga Gonzalez. He'll be our final climber for the morning. He's only about 1 minute and 20 seconds into his attempts here on men's 1, so he's got much more time on the wall for all of us to watch. But after this, we'll be able to focus on a few problems and see all the action. And of course, also deserving a huge shout out for an event like this is the army of volunteers here at the event. Every problem needs a couple judges. Somebody's got a brush. We need people making sure the kids are in ISO at the right time. People, even little things like managing which bathrooms you go into and where we're getting food from. Of course, managing the live stream. We've got photographers here. All of these people donating their time to help support our kids in climbing. I know we really all appreciate it, so if you know somebody who's volunteering, make sure you give them an extra thanks. They'll, of course, get lots of thanks from the organizers, but it doesn't just mean a lot to them, it means a lot to all of us spectating, because none of this could happen without the volunteers. This is just inherently a volunteer-intensive sport, so thanks to all of the parents, all of the climbers who just like to help out, all of the gym staff, all the coaches, everybody that decided to give their time for free to help support this event. Thank you so much. And something interesting I've just been tipped off to, if you're here in Montreal for the event or for any other reason, we've actually got some of these walls that are open to the public for you guys to check out the type of climbing that these competitors are doing. So if you're around through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, come on down here to Horizon Rock. We're out at Rue Dixon in the, I guess you could call it the eastern part of the city, right by the Olympic Stadium. And on Monday tonight between 7:30 and 9:30, tomorrow, Tuesday, between 6:30 and 8:30, and Wednesday, between 8:30 and 10:30, you can get on the speed walls and the boulders. You can play around with some of the climbs. Well, of course, the standard speed climb, And then some of the climbs from the junior category, which will be tough, but if you want to try them out and see what it's like to be at this level of climbing, you should come on down. It's open to you guys in those times. You can find all of that at the official website for this event. That's Climbingpanam17.com, where of course you can also find the crowdfunding campaign where you can help support this live stream. You can find a link to the live stream for your friends. You can find a link to the scores at ifsc-climbing.org. And of course, you can find all the information about our incredible sponsors, about our volunteers, about the supporters, about the experience of visiting Montreal, one of the oldest cities in North America. You can find it all at climbingpanam2017.com. At this stage in the game, men's 1 and women's 1 are done with no more competitors on them. Women's 2 is also finished up. I believe M2 will see one more competitor. At this point, it's a good time to start reflecting on the scores. Check out and see what's going on. Seeing a lot of dominant performances from the Canadians and the Americans and the Mexicans so far in the women's category, but again, it is early and there are still a lot of results we're waiting on because those climbers are still on the wall. Getting awfully close to the top on women's number 4.
Yes.
That was another confident top from Aranza Fernandez Gutierrez. Colin Duffy on men's number 5, trying to stick the bonus. But it is one tough problem. Like we said earlier, there's a lot of pulling in this comp, and to finish it up on the slab can be a tough mental game. But it's a good way to test everybody. Find the well-rounded climbers to take forward into semifinals. According to the scoring website, so far the only top we've achieved on men's number 5 is from Xander Waller of the United States. Also very few tops on men's number 1. That's a real separator. Of the entered scores we have so far, just 2 of them as far as I can see, from Guy McNamee and Emiliano Espinoza Dominguez. We're down to 28 seconds on this round. These are looking like final attempts.
Diego on number 2, Emilio on 3, Nathaniel on 4, and Gabriel on 5. All right, Babette's on 4, and Alamel is on 5. The ladies' round draws to a close.
We've only got two female competitors on the wall. We are running out of ladies, and the men starting to get down to the end as well. Thanks for sticking around through the qualifying round of the B bouldering qualifiers. Around 2 o'clock, we're going to start up again with the A category, and then our juniors following immediately after them. So it's a full day of bouldering here in Montreal at Horizon Rock.
Yeah, Babette. Just like that.
Babette Roy with a clean top on women's number 4. Working hard over on men's number 5. Can he Gabriel Lancheros Poveda on men's number 5, basically grazing the finish with one hand, but couldn't quite keep his body into the wall, unfortunately. He's got lots of time. He got 2 minutes, 37 seconds left on the clock. Diego Eugenio on men's number 2, trying to make his way up to the bonus. Emilio on men's number 3, trying to make work of those tiny little crimp screw-ons. Armel Pozzo on women's number 5, trying to sort out the right beta to get through this problem, just full of volumes. The start hold is a American specialty of two volumes screwed on together to form a unique shape. And of course, a problem full of Bloc's volumes, one of the official hold sponsors of the event. Oh, and on men's number 5. Oh, so close. Getting a hand over the top of that sloper. Just not able to match it, not able to hold. That's 1 minute remaining. And we may just get a top on men's 3. Unfortunately denied by a killer sloper. And with 45 seconds left on the clock, we might be looking at a couple final attempts. Men's and women's number 5 looking exciting. But men's number 5 with Gabriel from Colombia up there. He's got his countrymen behind him, so close to this top, but certainly one of the most difficult tops of the round. Let's see if he can score himself a nice finish to qualifiers. Second guesses, trying to commit to that left foot, and he commits to the foot, but unfortunately slips right off it. And that is the end of that round. We'll get some more athletes up on the wall here as we come down to the end of the qualifying round of B Youth bouldering. Make sure you support the event by giving a shout out to the event and its supporters on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Use those hashtags Accès, Escalade, Montreal, or Climbingpanam17. You can find the Climbing Pan Ams on Facebook. Give it a like so you keep up to date with what's going on. And just show your support so our sponsors know that we've got a big engaged audience that's paying attention to their message and their products. Because this place is packed here. The crowd you can see in the video is only a very small portion of the crowd. It's almost all coaches, athletes. Behind me in the mezzanine, we've got another huge crowd all looking over the event and lots of cheers. And of course, this is just the qualifying round. I expect it to really pack up for semis and finals. If you're in the Montreal area, come on down, buy a ticket, check it out. It's not often you get a chance to watch international level competition in your own backyard.
Route setters to the speed wall, please. All the bouldering route setters. Get your butts over to the speed wall. You're about to do work.
I want to give a shout out to my bud Pete Woods from Alberta, who's on the mic on the floor, keeping the audience informed and entertained, and making sure everybody knows who's who. And right now he's wrangling the route setters. Big ups to Pete for coming out here to help out with the event. And as we get towards the end of this, and of course there's a top for Owen Gambling of Canada on men's number 5. That's going to mean a lot. That problem has not seen many tops. So that is a good indicator for Owen. But as we get towards the end, I want to give a last shout out to all of the supporters of this event so you know them. Presenting partners, of course, Accès, Escalade, Montreal, and the Pan American Council of the IFSC, as well as Horizon Rock, which is the climbing gym hosting this event. It takes a lot of resources to commit your facility for an event like this. It takes a toll on your members. But fortunately, Horizon has been a very supportive member of the climbing community. Their members know what they're getting into, and they know what they're supporting by hosting an event like this. So thanks so much to not just the staff and the owners and the volunteers at Horizon Rock, but also the climbing community here, which has given up space of their walls so that all these climbers from across North, Central, and Southern America can use them for this competition. Major partners thanks to the government of Quebec, the city of Montreal, and Tourism Montreal, who, if you plan to come down and visit, which you should, check out Tourism Montreal's website and get some ideas of the cool stuff to do in this city. It's never boring. Also, PME Montreal for the financial support and Entreprise for the walls. Our official partners for the event are Perfect Descent Climbing Systems, Hôtel Gouverneur Montréal, Auberge Royale Versailles, and the Travelodge Centreville. We're receiving support from the big organizations, of course, the IFSC and Climbing Escalade Canada, but also the FQME, that's the Fédération Québécoise de la Montagne de l'Escalade, and Sport Climbing British Columbia out there on the other side of the country. And our neighbors to the south, USA Climbing, thanks for helping us out. We also have proud partners in Bloc's Climbing Equipment, Kumiki Climbing, PCM Premium Volumes, and Dimension Volumes. You'll see lots of their holds and volumes on the walls over the next couple of days. Also thanks to Action Sport Physio, the 5600 for their help with the rooms and infrastructure here. INS Quebec as well. TV Go for helping with the webcast so all of you can see this. the ISIM, the Éco-Crotier, Mercier, Hochelaga, Maisonneuve, Conseil Québécois, Événement Éco-Responsable.
Nick, where are you at?
Also thanks to Make a Champ for helping us with our crowdfunding campaign. If you find this live stream valuable, please consider donating $5 or $10 to help cover the cost of this endeavor. It means a lot to the athletes to have a lot of people cheering them on, even if it's from home. And you can help support that by donating a couple bucks at our Make a Champ, which you can find by going to our website, climbingpanam2017.com, and you can click on the button to take us to our crowdfunding site to support this effort. Also, Stay 22, Welcome Athletes, Residence 1515, for helping put up our athletes and our coaches and our route setters. After long days like this, they need a great place to sleep, and we thank them for providing it. And another collaborator, L'Accordé, a climbing equipment store. They've got a 10 to 20% off sale in their store during this week. So check out L'Accordé online and pick yourself up something new. Treat yourself. When you see climbing at this level, you get inspired. And what'll get you more psyched than a new pair of shoes or a new slick chalk bag or something new to get you excited, feel fresh on the walls? Check out L'Accordé, where you can get 10 to 20% off on their products during this week. Thanks to all of those people for their support in making this event happen. And of course, thanks to all of the volunteers for all of their time. And we're coming down to the last few climbers here in the B category. We'll be starting again at 2 o'clock with our A and junior climbers. If you know somebody climbing this afternoon, make sure your friends know about this live stream. Share the website on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. On Twitter, you can tweet at Escalade Montreal. On Instagram, you can tweet at Accès Escalade Montreal as well. On Facebook, there's a page for the Climbing Panams and an event for the Championnat Panaméricain Escalade. Make sure you give those a like. Show your support for the event. And make sure you hook up all your friends with the links to this live stream so that they can watch all the action as well and support all those climbers that you know and love. We got 2 minutes left on the clock for this round of climbers. If you've got questions about any of these climbs, if you're not sure what a hold is or how something feels, or maybe from the camera angle you're missing something. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the official Twitter and Instagram pages for this event, but you can tweet me personally at Plastic Weekly, and I'll do my best to help share whatever information I have, whether it's about the climbs or the schedule, the scoring, the organization, anything you need help with. Shoot me a message, and if I can't answer it, I'll see if I can wrangle somebody to help answer your question.
All right, Diego. Venga, Diego.
20 seconds left for Nathaniel Surma and Babette Roy on men's and women's 5. Nathaniel's moving with a lot of momentum in his last attempt. Maybe needs to slow it down a bit. Just missing again. And with only seconds left, Babette doesn't manage to get the bonus on that attempt. If you're looking for scores, you can see who's been climbing extra strong today, putting up those performances. Visit ifsc-climbing.org. Hit the link for calendar and scroll down until you find the Pan American Youth Championships. Search for the male Youth B Boulder or female Youth B Boulder, and you can see all those scores as they come in. And of course, they will be official shortly after this event is done, and once the judges have had a chance to double check everything. But for now, they are still extremely accurate. I put a lot of faith in them. So you can check that out at ifsc-climbing.org.